Yo, what's up everyone? The final videos I'm gonna have for like LR Liz. I'm not sure if I'm gonna actually put out my own for my LR Liz because she's only 2.6, but I can test it, but I'm not sure if people would actually like be interested in seeing that. But I'm gonna be running her in Bird and Deer in this video. I'm gonna be doing Bird first. This is the team I'm gonna be using. Escanor is in here more mainly for the floor 2 of the Bird, where you need the extra bit of damage, so yeah. That's pretty much, when I record this, that's pretty much all I could have remembered about this boss, because I have not done this in months. When I did this, I was actually a bit surprised. Some of the lower phases, like the mechanics for them, where there are like damage caps, I didn't really remember. And a lot of his passives as well, I can't really remember because it's been that long. I mainly remember like where he gets his defenses up. I think he has a damage cap on the last one of like phase 2, and some of the passes for his like floor 3s, and that's about it. But I already know this team's gonna like run through this reasonably fast. Like most units nowadays can go through Bird, Deer, and hopefully Dog with pretty good ease, so they're not really able to really hold back the newer sets of units we're getting anyway. It's just about how fast they can actually clear through this. Like Liz giving 30% is nice and all, but actually getting enough hits and the place where you actually want to be using them, that's probably where it's going to be holding you back more than not if you're using her in this. She is a pretty good unit for like sticking around. If your team is slower, I can definitely see her fitting in here perfectly. Yeah, didn't really get much of a boosting. So, yeah, not much boosting, but I still think we cleared this pretty easy. Like, the little buffs we get, it still helps. And we don't really need much. Especially if you have, like, LR Melee and Ultimate Escanor, they're gonna pummel this boss pretty easily. Megelda also is, like, a huge help. All those extra buffs she's gonna be giving us. So, the survivability of this team is actually very, very nice. Damage is there as well. You just hopefully don't get too destroyed on the RNG, and we should be running this pretty smoothly. Yeah, I do remember the floor 2. There's like the damage cap plus the semi revive thingy, so I made sure, because I was thinking of other units, and I for a second I completely forgot about it. Yeah, like here, that's decent damage. You get a bit of healing from that. It's buffing you up, so it's pretty good. So you're not really losing much just by running her. If you really want this team to be a little more tanky as well, instead of running like LR melee, you could run normal T melee. You'll be a little more tanky. His single target will do pretty decent damage, as he'll have a little more buffs as well. So he could be a pretty good he is a pretty good replacement for LR melee. But LR melee I think is pretty good as well, because once you get hit, the extra like rank up is pretty nice, and he does decent damage. It's not like you're losing much. All these units nowadays are pretty souped up, so you're not gonna be like getting held back much at all. Yeah, so pretty fast clear. Because I can see using a lot of different variants for this, and it still should work pretty much the same. Because as long as Magelda and Liz is here, you probably don't even really need Magelda at this point, but having her is just more like safety. Because that extra bit of healing and the buff she gets from her relic is very nice. Like in most cases, what I would actually do here is probably just run triple attack units. Yeah, like we're pretty tanky. And him not having like a lot of cards that removes buffs is very nice. So we can pretty much stack up very nice with Liz's card and just lifesteal it all back if we need to. Yeah, couldn't really kill here, so I just decided, you know what, let me just push an ult with and just save back one of his cards. Yeah, not getting a lot of Escanor Finger Press is like a semi-brick. And that's probably where I think Tridamelli would help more, I think, in this case. Because if Tridamelli had at least one there, he would have been like slashing through his HP bar pretty easily. And I think like one Tridamelli hit can chunk his HP by probably a whole cap. Like as where a level 1 LR melee doesn't really do that. So you can get even more tanky and dish out more damage if you're using Tridamelli. So yeah, I think he's probably the better choice actually. But farming Bird is still pretty easy. So if you're planning on adding her into the bird farming team, it's gonna work very nice. You're gonna be adding a decent amount of tank and damage to your team, and it'll probably be a way more consistent clear. For Bird, she is pretty decent. Now on Deer, this is where I think I probably may have messed up the team comp. Because when going into this, I totally forgot, like, he has a passive. He removes 2 of your ult gauges, right? And I actually ended up getting that in this run. So I completely forgot about it. So what I think I should have done is probably just left Roxy as the blue unit and left Ultima Escanor in the 4th slot. So I would have been able to do the rotation properly and had way more DPS in play instead of like, because I was trying to go more for like an ult focus because I'm running her. I was gonna try to like push her ult more constantly to push their ults more constantly. But unfortunately that just stopped me in my tracks for like the floor 3. It is what it is. Because I didn't want to reset and run just because I got that passive. Because it's RNG. At times you get really trashy passives. So I decided, you know what? I'm gonna keep it and let the run play through. See how far I can get. See how how fast I'll actually be able to clear it or not. Yeah, see, like, I'm already at the end, and I only hit once with her. So it's actually being able to hit her enough times before we finish this boss is nearly impossible. So floor 2, this is why I think my choices of units are actually starting to fall back on me, because on my phase 1 I'm actually gonna be cutting this really close. I'm sad to say, but even with this combination of cards, because I already knew like I couldn't use the Liz card for phase 2 because how low her DPS would be, and even with these like set cards I still failed to kill. I already knew it was gonna be pretty close if I used the Liz card, but I didn't think I would fail to kill if I used like the higher DPS cards. That's a bit unfortunate, and that's why I think the lapse of my judgment is instead of using Roxy and Ultimate Escanor, I feel like it's keeping back this run. So yeah, the better options would have for sure have been Roxy and Ultimate Escanor. So you're gonna be playing for cycle with just those 3 units and have Escanor for more DPS basically. Because when I get the passive that is going to be reducing my ult gauge by 2 after every turn, the strat I'm using is also basically dead. Not having to really rely too much on ults for like faster clearing is very nice. It's good when you have an extra ult, but not having to really rely on it is something I feel like is probably way better. So that's why I kind of regret using this team over the other. Like, that's the passive right there. Decreases ultimate gauge by 2 at the start of the next phase. Pretty sad. Not really gonna hold back much, but it does keep you back when you're trying to use 6/6 death ultimates to really double your damage for certain phases. Floor 2 goes down reasonably fast as well. Only thing is now for my floor 3 to clear on the ending, we do have Yermagenda's relic, so having a level 3 card is not gonna be a problem. But normally I would like to just clear with an ultimate, so I don't really need to worry about it. I hit once and then we kill next turn easily with no worries. You don't really need to stress about it, but no, it's like you gotta make sure and save a card to actually get the kill. And yes, the damage on turn 1 is kind of bad. Since I couldn't kill floor 2s turn 1, I can't really kill floor 3s. At least I'm able to really like cycle properly since I have like a buff card for her. Because if I had to hit, I don't think the cycle would work at all here. No green card, unfortunately. That's a bit unfortunate. RNG just had to slow down here slightly. I think if I had the green card, I killed definitely. That's another thing with cycle that I was thinking about. I didn't really want to run just one red unit that only has one singular hit. Every time you're gonna need a red card, you're probably gonna be wanting to use her card, right? Because the more you use her, the more you buff your team. But there are times where you just won't pull it because she's a one-hit unit with a buff card, so RNG can scuff you quite a bit. That's mainly one of the reasons why I decided to run like Freyr on this team instead of like an additional unit who's 9 cycle. Not to say this team is failing, this team is still making a reasonable time for clearing. Because as you can see, I still have decent DPS and the cycling ability of it is very good. But then the points where maybe I don't pull like a singular card for like Yermungandr or like Escanor. She does work reasonably well, I think. Not for this, because for cycling purposes, you don't really want a unit that has a buff card and one hit. So you probably want like 2 hits for every single unit, so you can just keep that cycle going as much as possible, outputting as much DPS as you can. Yeah, and of course we don't get an escape card, so I'm gonna just push through it. Not really the best of choices on my part for like clearing deer, but it works. That being said, guys, I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace. Every time I start to slip away, and I surrender. I surrender. There's no more falling down. I've hit the ground, so I surrender.